run Lennox.
Maryland has won a $250 Home Depot gift certificate. The Redskins return the kickoff for a touchdown. Rob wins a $30,000 Home Depot shopping spree. And good luck to Bob. Not Rob, Bob.
Okay, Bob. Bob?
Well, he'll call him anything we want him if he turns the kickoff all the way. Well, the Redskins, Sonny, in the first half, did a good job with their balance, run-pass ratio, which I'd like to keep an eye on.
Well, yes, and this is the key for them. 21 rushes to only 11 passes. And they also occupied the clock 16:40 to 13:20. They did a good job. They did what they wanted to. The one turnover that Brunell had really hurt them. But they've made some plays. They've actually controlled the game until the last, right before the half there. They get that deflected pass for a touchdown that put them back in the game, 21-17. Redskins 4-6 on third down conversions. The Giants only 1 of 5.
So we are set for second half action. Antonio Brown and James Thrash deep to receive the kickoff from Philly.
One other thing, as he's getting ready to kick, is Barber. They've held Barber to 28 yards.
Good job by the Skins defense. End over end coming down. Antonio Brown takes it to 6, 15, 20. Angling to the left side, stumbles across the 25-yard line, and that's where the Redskins will take over 1st and 10. Time for the Mega Millions drive of the game. Sponsored by the Maryland Virginia Lotteries. Cynthia Hurdle of Great Falls, Virginia has already won 25 Mega Millions coupons and a chance to win an ultimate championship game weekend in Detroit. The Skins get the field goal. She gets 50 coupons, 100 if the Skins score a touchdown, plus the Redskins Radio Fantasy Day. To enter, visit 1067freefm.com. The current Mega Millions jackpot, $75 million.
Well, Clinton Portis is in there, so they're going to run more.
Thrash and Moss in as well as 2 wide. Cooley the H-back, tight end Robert Royal. 1st and 10 give to Portis. Makes a nice cut. Hits that linebacker Greason up to the 29-yard line.
That Blackburn was a pretty good linebacker, isn't he, for a rookie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Big kid from Akron, Ohio. He hung right in there on that play. You can hear the hit all the way up here.
Gain of 3 on first down for Clinton. 2nd and 7, ball at the Redskins 29. Portis remains a setback. Santana Moss is to the right. To the left, James Thrash. Brunell with the count. Sends Moss in motion to the left. And it's a handoff. No. Brunell wide going into the left. Hits Cooley, who drops a football. Might have heard some footsteps that time.
He saw some people coming that time. That was a very fortunate pass that you're getting back. That could have been picked off also.
They didn't look sharp on that play.
No. Bad timing. He got rushed.
They ought to be used to getting rushed. They've been getting rushed the whole game.
3rd and 7 situation for the Skins.
Rush, Sam, but no sacks in the game yet.
Yeah.
Liddell Betts in as the tailback. Brunell in the shotgun formation. Taylor Jacobs in as well. Moss is in motion to the right. And there's the snap. A lot of heat on Brunell. Steps up. There's that sack we were talking about.
Sack now.
Sacked at the 19-yard line. They brought a linebacker, Nick Greason, and he gets the sack for the Giants.
Brunell's limping now coming off.
Number
So he's got a
54.
bad shoulder and a bad leg.
Yeah. And his attitude is still good, though.
They got hit right at the knee.
Boy, they really brought the linebackers that time. They brought 2 linebackers in the corner.
Here's the punt from Derek Frost. A little low, a little wobbly. Chad Morton runs up, takes it at the 44, has some room to the 50. Flag on the play.
Yeah.
2, 3 flags on the play.
Yeah.
4 flags on the play. 36-yard punt, but
I mean, just a out-and-out hit in the back. You've been taught since little.
welcome back to the GMRI broadcast booth. Larry Michael and Sonny Jurgensen and Sam Huff. And Sonny, you see Brunell's being looked at behind the bench.
Looks like his right knee they're working on, and they're going to evaluate it and probably tape it up.
Giants have it 1st and 10 at their own 34-yard line. The Redskins lead it 21-17 here at the start of the 3rd quarter. Handoff, Tiki Barber has a little bit of running room, taken down by Phillip Daniels after a gain of 5. So you get 1st down, 5-yard gains.
Yeah.
You got to be happy if you're the Giants.
You're going to see a lot of Tiki this half. I mean, they didn't use him very much the first half. I don't know why, but they thought, well, the Redskins certainly got a key on him and tried to shut him down, which
He only carried it 9 times, and Portis carried it 14.
I know it.
2nd and 4. Give him 6 on first down. I formation behind Eli Manning. And again, Barber gets the ball. Gets hit by Ryan Clark at the 41-yard line. Cornelius Griffin hit him first. A gain of 2 on that play. Bringing up a 3rd and 2, maybe 3 for the Giants.
Be interesting to see what the Giants do here on 3rd and, well, it may be a little longer than 2, about 2.5.
Joe Salavea in on the stop as well. 3rd and 2.
Big Joe coming out, 3rd down and 2. I would leave him in there.
I would too, Sam.
Yeah. Man, oh man, what kind of coaching is that?
Because they gone shotgun. He knew what formation they were going in.
3rd and 2 from the 42. Manning in the shotgun. Takes a snap. Has time, looking over the middle. Still looking. Fires right. It is complete, and it's a first down. Caught by Amani Toomer to the Redskins' 49-yard line.
Boy, he went in and then came running out. Pretty tough pattern to cover. Once you committed yourself to go in, no pass rush. They're not getting through to Manning.
Redskins training staff still evaluating quarterback Mark Brunell. Behind the bench, Patrick Ramsey could be the man on the spot here in the second half.
Well, he's got his helmet on, Patrick does.
1st and 10 Giants at the Redskins' 49-yard line. Tiki Barber the setback. Manning changing the play. Clock winding down. 2 seconds on the play clock. 1 just gets it off. He fumbles, gets sacked by LeVar Arrington. Now
he was offsides.
Was he offsides, or did the
I don't
play
know.
clock?
There's a flag down.
Play clock expired, maybe?
I don't know that he was offside. It
You
looked
don't?
like right with the ball.
Well,
Offside.
listen.
56.
Listen.
Defense.
He was
5-yard penalty.
offsides.
That
Still
doesn't
first
mean
down.
he was, because they called it. I mean, they called it, but he was.
Well, I saw it from up here.
What's the ball? The ball moved. At the same time he came.
That's a rough one there, but the call goes against the Skins, bringing up a 1st and 5 at their 44-yard line. They lead 21-17. Giants on the move here on their first possession of the second half. Tiki Barber in the backfield. He gets the call right up the middle, breaks a tackle, still on his feet, across the 40 to the 35.
Boy, he made Sean Springs miss.
Yep, sure
He
did.
is so quick.
Yeah, he is that.
Giants have the Skins a little bit on their heels right now.
Another first down, too.
Yep, down to the 35 of the Redskins.
24 missed everything. Sean Springs just missed everything. Whoa.
1st and 10 Giants. Toomer is to the left. Plaxico Burress is to the right. Tiki Barber gets the call but whistles. And there's a flag on the play.
Motion.
Wait for the official ruling. This could be
A motion penalty.
Yep.
False start. 82. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Bianco, the tight end, called for the motion.
He'd replace Jeremy Shockey, I guess.
We have not seen Shockey here in the second half. He's standing on the sidelines, though. His helmet on. 1st and 15 for the Giants from the Redskins' 40. Manning sends Amani Toomer in motion to the left. It's a handoff, no play action. Manning dumps it over the middle, has Tiki Barber. Arrington misses him. Washington misses him. Sean Springs finally gets him at the 29.
I tell you, he makes a lot of people miss.
And Sean Springs is down and not getting up.
Arrington had a good shot at him and just overran him.
Sean Springs really getting up slowly.
That was some cut. I'll tell you what. I don't know who'd make that tackle.
Going against the grain like that, he is tough, and Sean Springs is down the medical.
Offers or gas for 2 years. Be sure to visit WashingtonChryslerJeep.com today.
All right. There's 10:19 to play in the third quarter. The Giants have it 2nd and 4 at the Redskins' 29. Skins defense trying to hang tough right now. And Mark Brunell has left the playing surface. Sean Springs on the sideline now. He's banged up. Adi Jamo in replacing him. And the pressure is building. 2nd and 4 at the 29 for the Giants. Manning back to pass. Looking to the left. Still looking. Firing. Looking into the end zone for Toomer. It is up, deflected, and incomplete. Two Redskins there, Walt Harris and Sean Taylor.
Oh, they had him inside out.
Well, Manning tried to wedge that ball in there, didn't he?
Well, Redskins were fortunate they didn't get some contact down there, weren't they?
Yeah, they're not.
I mean, they would look like a...
I tell you, he's not afraid to throw that ball deep, is he?
No.
Woo. But he's, they play jump ball in that end zone with those tall receivers. Monty Toomer's pretty tall.
Burris comes to the right side of the formation. Toomer is to the left on 3rd and 4.
Here it is, big down. Defense got to get it here.
Got to watch that little crossing pattern.
From the Redskins' 29-yard line. Manning's going to call a timeout. Doesn't like the setup.
He ran out of time.
And we will take the break with 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Redskins leading 21-17. Back after this on the Free FM WJFK Redskins Radio Network.
Closing costs or application fees. Call 800-PBM-LEND or visit PropBank.com today. Equal housing lender.
Big third down situation for the Giants. 3rd and 4. The Redskins 29. The Skins lead at 21-17. Manning brings him to the line. Has Toomer to the left. Plaxico Burris to the right. Sean Spring still out.
They're going to bring some heat.
Here comes Sean Taylor.
From the shotgun, Manning waits for the snap. He gets it. Has time. Scrambling to his left, and there's a lot of open field across the 20. He slides. He's got the first down. Well, what a heads-up play for the second-year man, Eli Manning.
He beat the defense.
Sure did. That gives him a first down inside the 20.
That's too bad.
Simply Wireless scoreboard. Atlanta has taken the lead over Tampa Bay 17-14. Carolina still leads Dallas 13-10. It's Kansas City 20, San Diego 7. And Pittsburgh landed on Cleveland 27-0. First and 10 Giants at the Redskins' 19-yard line. Tiki Barber the setback. Manning looks like he's changing the play at the line of scrimmage again.
He's run out of time.
No time left. There's 0 on the clock. Where's the flags? He gets it off, throws the out to the left to Burris. It's complete. Inside the 15 to the 14. How about the clock
just
ran
snapped the
out?
ball
Yeah.
right at the 1 second.
Yeah, I read Danny Smith down there pointing to the clock saying it was on 0, and the referee just kind of ignoring him down there. That's a pickup of 6 on first down.
Well, this is all Manning. He's really working right now. He's making some nice plays. That run he made was a big play. Was a big play.
2nd and 4 at the Redskins 13. I formation behind Manning. Gives it to Tiki Barber. Makes a cut, hit at the line of scrimmage, and Joe Salavea just holding onto his foot. Right on the bottom of the pile there.
He's made a lot of tackles in the middle there today.
Yeah, he
Salavea
has. Not much there. Maybe a gain of 1 for Tiki Barber. 3rd and 3 coming up. Redskins lead by 4, 21-17.
And to hold him to a field goal here.
If you do, you still have the lead at least.
Yeah.
Adi Jamo in at corner.
One-on-one against Burris.
They're trying to give him some help.
Manning play action, rolling to his right, still rolling. Ronaldo Wynn giving chase. He's going to throw it away. He threw it away, had to throw it away.
Yeah, that used to be a
smart play.
A smart play. It is a smart play. But it used to be a grounding ball, but they've changed all the rules to help the offense.
Field goal situation here for Philly.
All he did was avoid some 20-yard loss.
Yeah, he did do that.
The holder is Jeff Fiegels. And the mark will come at the 19-yard line.
Feely. Remember where you are, Feely.
That's right. That end zone as well from 29 yards out. It's blocked by the Redskins. It is blocked, and it's picked up by Walt Harris. At the 15-yard line, the special teams step up.
Boy, that was a big play right there. Wow.
It was right in the center of the line. Someone got a big piece of that football and knocked it down, and the Redskins keep the Giants off the scoreboard. It came right up the middle.
It looks like he hit it low. I saw sand come up when he hit the ball. I think he hit it fat.
Yeah, but he also got it blocked. The guy got it.
Of freedom. The beacon of freedom and opportunity. Birth of freedom. Of freedom.
Free FM 106.7 WJFK.
Patrick Ramsey on the field replacing Mark Brunell, who was warming up on the sideline. And, Sonny, you think maybe his right leg giving him some problems?
Well, when he strides to throw the ball, if that's not strong enough, you can't stride and throw it, and you're not going to have anything on the ball. But he is warming up.
So Patrick Ramsey in to play for the first time since the last New York Giant game. This is Patrick's first game action since then. It's a pitch to Clinton Portis. Trying to find some running room on the left side and runs into a stone wall up front.
Well, there's not much blocking up there. Their blocks are getting beat.
Pretty good defensive line.
Yeah, they are that.
Gain of 1 on that play. Might have been Phillip Daniels inside who blocked that field goal, but it was low. You're right, Sonny. Way low on the kick by
Way
Phillip.
low. He hit a line. He hit it real fast. You could see sand come up as soon as he swung his foot.
2nd and 9 for the Skins. Pitch to the right side. Portis this time looking for running room. Not a lot of room there. Gets to the 18-yard line. Just a gain of 1.
Number 70 got him.
Official word from the Redskins. Mark Brunell has a knee sprain and his return is questionable.
It's questionable. Why is he throwing?
He's down there trying to get comfortable. Well, the Redskin offense better come up with something here. 3rd and long. This is real long, too. You got to be careful on this one.
Give him something safe.
In the shotgun formation.
Something safe.
3rd and 8 for Ramsey and the Redskins. Gets the direct snap. Back to pass. Looking. Release man is Betts. Has it at the 20, to the 25, up to the 27-yard line. Very close.
I think he got it.
Very close to the first down. He's got it by about a half yard.
That was good. A good maneuver right there to get that first down.
Good running by Betts.
Yes.
Now Portis comes back in, replacing Liddell Betts.
You make a good play, they take you out.
6:15 to play in the game. Excuse me, the 3rd quarter. 6:15 to go in the 3rd. The Redskins lead 21-17.
Well, this has been a heck of a football game. And now the Redskins call timeout.
And Ramsey has to call a timeout. And better to do that than go with the package you're not ready to go with. And we'll give you a chance to hit the McDonald's scoreboard. The Cowboys have taken over. Comes in for the first time in 2 months.
Right.
A little rusty, maybe.
Maybe he gets a lot of work in practice. But still, it's because of the closeness of the game, it's difficult.
1st and 10 situation for the Redskins at their own 28. Portis in as a setback. Mike Sellers in motion to the right. And it's a play-action fake. Ramsey rolling to his right. Sets. Fires way over the head of Chris Cooley. Not even close that time. I don't think he was the #1 receiver.
No.
But
they had 2 men on Moss. But still, I'd like to see Patrick just take a shot long.
Well,
he's got a big arm and just let Moss go after it. I don't care how many men they got on him.
You had Nick Greason covering Portis out there one-on-one. That's who you got to try to get the ball to.
Redskins have Clinton Portis and Antonio Brown to the right. To the left, Taylor Jacobs and James Thrash.
Nobody in the backfield. Empty backfield here.
Yep, Cooley, a wingman on the right side of the formation. Ramsey has to call another timeout. Got to call another timeout because Antonio Brown was not positioned properly.
Or not, there's actually other stuff going on in the world besides this game. Find out what in the Washington Post tomorrow.
Now the Redskins burned 2 timeouts on this possession just because of alignment problems.
I want to tell you there's nothing more important in this game right now.
3 runs, 4 passes in this half. Giants had possession for a long time in the 3rd quarter, but they came away with no points.
Single safety.
Cooley and Portis in the backfield with Ramsey, who's back to pass. Over the middle, looking for Moss, makes the catch, still on his feet to the 40. He's off to the races, 30, 25-20. All the way, Santana Moss, his 3rd touchdown of the game. 72 yards on the play.
Perfect pass.
Just throw it to Moss.
Threw it to Moss.
Let him jump up and catch it.
Patrick's feeling pretty good now.
Oh,
yes, he is.
He ought to be. Everybody in this stadium's feeling pretty good right now. They needed that one.
Boy, what a play by Santana Moss. He is such a difference maker.
What a player Santana Moss is. Going to the Pro Bowl, and he certainly deserves it. Boy, for a little guy, he has a lot of speed and a lot of heart.
And a conversion by John Hall makes it 28-17. Santana Moss, 4 catches, 156 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
And you talked about another momentum change. A blocked field goal, a touchdown.
Swings right back. Scoring drive summary brought to you by DC Lottery. The brand new game, DC Daily 6-5 plays, 83 yards, and the Redskins up the lead to 11. How big is that touchdown?
Big, very, very big. I'll tell you what, it's a momentum shifter.
Woo! You have to feel good for Patrick Ramsey, too.
Oh, you've got to feel happy for him. He hadn't played, and he had to be rusty, and to come up with a play like that, it was beautiful.
There's no catching him. If you give him just an inch of room,
he's gone.
Just kiss him goodbye.
Well, what a great trade that was. Vinny Serrato and the front office to get Santana Moss.
And we might not be seeing Mark Brunell after all, huh?
Not now.
Not now. Woo. Patrick, you did it. Santana, you did it.
He is so good.
He is so fast.
Long way to go, though. 5:45 to go in the third quarter. And the Giants have shown they can move the football against the Redskins here in the second half.
Yep.
But they came away empty.
Right.
Now, I don't think I've ever seen, what if he's ever, since he's been playing football, ever been caught from behind?
I don't know. He's got a different gear. Last week it was Chris Cooley with the 3 touchdown catches. This week, Santana Moss with 3 touchdown catches.
Wouldn't it have been something to see Darrell Green in his prime play against him?
Oh. There's a run up by John Hall on the kick. Chad Morton's going to take it at his own 8-yard line to the 15-20, going to the left, 25, hit by Omar Stoudemire and taken down at the 30. That Redskins touchdown has fired up everyone here at FedEx Field. If you're hungry but broke from holiday shopping, try a Subway 6-inch cold cut combo for just $2.69 on toasted bread piled high with all of the fixins. Subway, eat fresh. 28-17 Redskins.
All right, defense, got to pull it all together now.
1st and 10 Giants at the 30. Santana Moss is approaching the all-time single-season receiving yardage record set by Bobby Mitchell. Play action fake, Eli Manning. He's got time going deep down the right sideline. Toomer is there, and it's deflected by Sean Springs, but they're going to throw the flag on Sean.
Pass interference.
Now, you know, Sean back in the lineup after being injured the previous series, and they went right at him.
Pass interference, 24, defense. Automatic, first down.
They come right back after you just as soon as you get one on them, don't they?
Sure do. Well, he put his hands on him, no doubt about it.
He had one arm around him.
Yep.
Can't do that.
That's a good call. Ball at the Redskins 29. Just that quick.
That quick and right back in scoring position.
Yep. High formation behind Manning. 1st and 10 at the Redskins 29. 41 yards on that penalty. The interference call on Sean Springs. Head off to Barber. Trying the right side. Hit. And taken down by Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor right in the middle of it.
Yep, right from his safety position. Comes up and makes the play after a gain of a couple.
That's where he was, I think, on the other play. He was up in the, like a linebacker, and they got beat deep on the inside.
The Redskins defense stood up last time. Forced him into a field goal attempt.
I think Sean Taylor likes to play linebacker.
Plaxico Burress is to the left of the formation, to the right of Amani Toomer. Finn and Barber in the backfield. Handoff to Barber, trying to sweep. He's going to pass it. He's looking to Toomer, and it's incomplete. That was an ugly play. I don't know if Barber could decide halfway whether he was going to run it or not.
It looked like he was fumbling around with the ball a little bit. Didn't get a good grip on it.
Penetration by the Redskins, force that.
So that was LeVar Arrington in there quickly. Same play they got called offsides on. He timed it perfect and really busted it up. 3rd and 8 from the Redskins' 27-yard line for the Giants. Tim Carter's in as a 3rd wide receiver. He's to the right. To the left, Toomer and Burress. Manning's in the shotgun. Gets the snap. Looking, still looking. He's under a lot of heat. Dumps it over the middle. Has Shockey for the first down to the Redskins 17-yard line.
What a good throw by Eli Manning.
And he hung in there, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And Shockey going out now. He's not limping now.
Pulls himself out of the game. It's a 1st and 10 Giants. The Redskins 16. 4:27 and counting in the third quarter. Redskins lead it 28-17.
Oh, it's not over.
No, it sure is.
You got a long way to go.
It's a great game for the fans today. And the stadium is absolutely packed. 1st and 10 at the 16. Manning tosses it out quickly to Burris. Makes the catch at the 15. Still on his feet. And knocked out of bounds by Ryan Clark inside the 10-yard line.
Walt Harris came up to make a tackle.
He missed everything.
Missed him. Whiffed.
Yeah, he whiffed.
7 yards on that play. Down to the Redskin 9. Here's where the Redskins defense needs to tighten up. 4 minutes and counting.
Secondary has to be some of your best tacklers on the team, and they're not. And outside of Sean Taylor, who drills them.
2nd and 3. Tiki Barber, the lone setback. Finn is in a slot on the right side. Now Shanko, the tight end in motion to the right. Manning back to pass. Looking into the end zone. Being chased from behind, and he's going to get sacked. Philip Daniels does the deed from behind.
The big one, the big hit. When he needed it, he got it.
Well, that was a coverage sack because he had plenty of time to throw the ball. Flushed out of the pocket, didn't see Daniels behind him.
First sack of the game for the Redskins. The biggie sack of the game brought to you by Wendy's, the best place to satisfy those late night cravings. Pickup window open till 1 a.m. or later. Do Wendy's, do a taste right.
The nickel defense is in now. Big Joe Salavea, who's had a heck of a football game, he's out of there. 3rd
and 14. Giants, the Redskins 20-yard line. Crowd on their feet. Manning from the shotgun. Looking over the middle. It's going to fire. It's deflected and almost caught by Amani Toomer. Prelo makes the play.
Almost intercepted that ball, didn't he?
Yeah, but he tapped it up almost to Toomer.
Yeah, should have intercepted it.
So they're going to hold him to a field goal attempt again.
Yeah. You think O'Feely's feeling it the way
he is? Boy, he hit the last one.
Maybe
very bad.
Hey, it's like playing golf when you go down and hit it too deep, right?
He chunked it.
Yep. They may do the same thing.
Spot comes at the 28, a 38-yard attempt. High snap. It's brought down. The kick is on the way. And this time, Feely is true. Field goal makes it 28-20. Redskins with 2:55 to go in the third quarter. And again, the defense stops them when they have to.
Yeah, defense. Offense better with it.
Oh, you want to talk? I'll go out and get
I'm
you
just
something.
kidding. Yeah, well, that would be a change. But be very nice, too. Oh.
Well, it gets so tight here at the end of the year. You've got the wild card going on. You've got the NFC East potentially for the Redskins if they can win this game and take it on to the last week of the season. You're watching the scoreboard to see what Dallas and Atlanta are doing. They're both winning today.
Here we go. Here we go.
The run up by Feely and the kickoff. Coming down, Antonio Brown's going to take it at the 4-yard line. To the 15-20. Going to the right. Hit. Still on his feet and dumped at the 20.
Yeah.
HCA Virginia, the official hospitals of the Washington Redskins and Redskins Radio.
We're in the GMRI broadcast booth here at FedEx Field. Larry Michael with Sonny Jurgensen and Sam Huff. 2:50 to go in the third quarter. The Redskins lead at 28-20. Mark Brunell injured in the third quarter, hurt his knee, and Patrick Ramsey has a scoring strike to Santana Moss.
He may get another one.
Let's go for number 4. Now the Redskins have one timeout remaining. They're not as smooth a running machine with Patrick in there just because he hasn't been in for so long.
Well, he feels a lot better right now, believe me.
Yes, he does.
He should.
Portis a setback. Chris Cooley is in motion in the backfield. It's a handoff to Clint. Running behind Ray Brown. Buries his head. Gets up to the 26-yard line. That's a gain of 5 where he was pinned in for nothing.
That's to get inside of the defensive tackle. I mean, he run up the middle, and there was no hole there. He just made the hole.
Nice job by Clinton for 5 yards the hard way. Clinton Portis this afternoon is over 1,300 yards for the season, gunning for that single season rushing record.
How many yards does he have?
44 yards on 18 carries.
Man.
44 tough yards.
Yep. Portis remains a setback. Mike Sellers now flanked out as a wide out to the left.
What is it?
And a flag on the play as Ramsey muffs the snap.
False start, 61. Offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Casey again.
Raylock.
False start on the center. How does that happen?
Well,
Not used
that's
to the
why
quarterback.
Patrick came out without the ball.
2nd and 10, really nullifying that 5-yard run by Clinton Portis on first down.
Cooley split out.
Cooley and Moss are to the left. Now Moss goes in motion to the right. Clinton Portis, the lone setback behind Ramsey. Ramsey throws it out to Cooley for a screen pass across the 25 to the 30, still on his feet. He's got the first down to the 35-yard line, and Chris Cooley with that catch.
And screen pass.
Catch number 68 for the year, breaking Jerry Smith's franchise record for a tight end, set in 67 with 67 receptions.
Let me tell you, that was a big play right there, Sonny.
Let me tell you what, that is the best play for the Redskins have in their arsenal.
Well, I don't
The
know.
screen to the wide out.
I don't know if that deep pass to Santana was pretty good.
That's not bad.
That's good, but every time they've run this,
Yeah.
it works for them.
Okay.
It doesn't always work when you go long, most of the time.
Well, the middle linebacker, the rookie, is down for the Giants. He got hurt.
Yeah, rookie linebacker.
A great offensive team out there in that white.
Well, this is not over with yet. They're only leading by 8.
Come on, Sam.
That's a 1st and 10 Skins at the 34-yard line. Wish
Saying that.
Blackburn the best. Hopefully he is not injured severely. And it's time for football again. The Redskins leading 28-20. Nick Greason has to move over to the middle linebacker spot, so the Giants are down to their 3rd middle linebacker now. And here we go. 1st and 10 Skins at their own 34. Crashes to the right, to the left, Santana Moss. He's got 3 touchdowns this afternoon. Cooley's in motion. It's a handoff to Clinton Portis. Trying to get to the outside. Breaks it to the 40. Almost gets away up to the 45-yard line. Man, Cooley did a good job holding up that linebacker on the right side.
They picked up the first down.
Derek Dockery pulled around there and cleaned somebody up.
Randy keeping an eye on those guards.
That's right.
Clinton Portis,
Well, that's
slow start in this game, beginning to pick up speed on this possession.
Wearing them down.
Wearing down the defense.
Wearing them down. Sticking with the plan.
50 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 Redskins at their own 45-yard line. Patrick Ramsey's the quarterback. Brunell injured his knee earlier in the 3rd quarter. Cooley in motion, handoff to Clinton again. Looking for some running room, gets hit in the backfield and kind of crawls ahead for a gain of a couple. Now, it seems that Clinton is running within the tackles a little bit more here this afternoon, Sonny. Do you see that as well?
Well, they started out running wide, if you recall. They ran first 2 plays of the game will pitch out. This is going to be the end of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
But then they ran that pitch that he got the big run up the sidelines on too.
Clock winding down. End of the 3rd quarter. The score: Redskins 28, the Giants 20. We'll be back with these words from Wachovia. This is Redskins Radio.
At most banks, free checking is just plain checking. At Wachovia, it's paying bills online for free. It's a daily email showing you your account balance, free rewards points when you use your check card.
50% or more in your car insurance. Geico, available to serve you 24 hours a day, every day.
Redskins have 15 first downs. The Giants have 14. 292 to 219 as far as total yards. 78 rushing for the Redskins, 60 for the Giants. 223 passing. But the big player so far has been Santana Moss. 4 catches, 156 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
2nd and 9 Redskins at their own 46-yard line. Liddell Betts is in, replacing Clinton Portis. Ramsey has Cooley in motion. Play action fake. Looking to his right. Fires to Cooley across the 50 to the 48-yard line of the Giants. Nice pass by Patrick.
Nice pass by Patrick. He didn't force it. He had Robert Royal a little deeper on the corner, and he took the one that he had to.
Patrick is 4 for 5.
What a great
And a
team
touchdown.
player. Great team player.
3rd and 3 for the Skins at the Giant 48-yard line. Would love to see us get this first down right here. Ramsey is 4 of 5, 102 yards, and a touchdown thus far in a relief role. He sends James Thrash in motion. Play action. Ramsey has a man. Santana Moss the catch. Gives up a couple yards. Still on his feet, and a flag in the backfield. I think it's a late hit on Ramsey, and they're going to get some more yardage out of it.
Yep. Boy, Santana, I'm glad he finally got up over that marker to get the first down.
He gave up a couple, didn't he?
Yeah, he was going in the wrong direction for a while.
Yeah,
Personal foul. Rubbing the passer. 59. Defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Wow, we get a break.
anytime that he's jumping around, Sam, he's one step from taking it to the house.
I know it. I know that, but it looked like he was not going to make the first down.
Oh, that's a dumb move by that linebacker. Well, you know what? He didn't even hit him. He hugged him. He got called for a hug.
Well, can't do it, I guess. Not out there in the
hug him. You got to do that in the locker room, huh?
I guess so.
I love Santana.
1st and 10 Redskins at the Giant 29-yard line. They lead 28-0. Clinton Portis the setback. Ramsey gives it to Portis. Nice cut to the 25 and dragged down at the 21-yard line. Man, he was leaning in the right direction that time. That offensive line beginning to flex some muscle now, Sonny.
Big Ray must have had a block in, Randy.
Oh, man, he got muscles too, man.
He's a big man. He's hanging in there, 43 years old.
Amazing.
And playing this whole game so far.
What, do you think he's going to come out?
No.
Oh, he gets a check too. Come on.
I don't expect him to come out.
2nd and 2 Redskins at the Giant 21-yard line. 13:35 to go in the game. The Redskins lead at 28-20. Chris Cooley in motion in the backfield. Ramsey looking for Moss on the slant. Hits him all a little behind him. Incomplete.
Bad throw. Threw it behind him.
So a 3rd and 2 situation here for the Skins.
You get it out in front of Moss, he's going to catch it.
Yeah, but the guy was really on him. He was covered.
Yeah, nah, you got to throw it out in front of him.
Right behind him. So big 3rd down here for the Skins. 3rd and 2 from the Giants 21-yard line.
You got Coley in the flat.
6 of 9 on 3rd down conversions. Excellent conversion rate. Empty backfield for Ramsey here. Now they shift back with Cooley and Portis now split behind Ramsey, who's under center. He sends Cooley in motion to the left, and it's a handoff to Portis. He's got the first down across the 20 to the 19-yard line. Taken down by Nick Greason, and they've crossed him up a little bit on that call.
They like to do that with a split back. They go with a split back, take a man in motion, and then run him on the counter gap going the other way.
Now they move him with a bad spot. The ball very close to the first down marker. Man, it's awful close.
I think I'd go for it.
I tell you what, it was very close to going all the way.
Oh, he couldn't go.
John Hall is out on the field already. John, get off the field. We don't want you out there yet.
That might be a first down.
I think he's got the first down.
He's trying to get a little
Got it.
He's trying to get a little TV time.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. He looks great for a kicker. I guess his wife didn't come to the game either.
Yeah, go put your sweats on.
Well, that was a big first down.
See you on the
right
extra
there.
point, baby.
All right, 1st and 10 Skins at the 19, and Sam, you're right, that's huge. That keeps the drive alive, keeps the clock rolling. They got it 1st and 10 at the Giants 19, and who's going to get the ball here?
They've already used 2 minutes of this, the 4th quarter, occupying clock.
It's Clinton Portis time again.
Yeah, I would say.
Never know. 1st and 10 Skins at the Giants 19. Santana Moss is to the left. Now he comes in motion to the right of the formation. Portis alone in the backfield. He gets the call. Going to try to sweep around the left side. He's got room to the 15-10 to the 5. Can he get there? He does! Touchdown Redskins. Clinton Portis gets in. He gets in from 19 yards out.
Great run, great cut.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a great back. He is something else, and he's got a football mind.
Oh, man, what a block.
That was beautiful.
That was nice.
He got to the corner, and there was no stopping him. He had a full head of speed, and the linebacker, Torbert, just didn't have enough.
No, he didn't have enough to catch him.
How big is that touchdown? 34-20 to score.
How big was that first down before that?
The conversion attempt by John Hall, just as Randy predicted, it is good. Scoring drive summary brought to you by DC Lottery in the brand new game, DC Daily 6. 10 plays, 79 yards, and the Redskins now lead by 15, 35-20 with 12:43 to go.
audio, video. Offers great service. They design to your needs and treat everyone like an individual. I wish you could see the spectacular home theater system they created for me. Visit one of their 10 convenient store locations in the D.C. area. For locations, log on to myramco.com.
John Hall has it teed up. Redskins lead 35-20. Back-to-back 35-point games for the Redskins. Chad Morton takes it to 5, coming to the left to the 20. 25 has a nice cut, cuts it to the middle of the field. Ryan Clark tackles him at the 42-yard line. Chad Morton's had a great game returning the kickoffs.
He's done a better job for the Giants than he did for the Redskins.
No doubt about that. Timeout on the field with 12:35 to play in the game. The Redskins.
Big deal, actually. 2 big deals. Visit your Washington area Jeep dealer today to see how you can get great cash offers or gas for 2 years. Be sure to visit WashingtonChryslerJeep.com today.
All right, Redskins up 35-20 with 12:35 to go in the game. Giants need a couple touchdowns. And you know what, Sonny, you're predicting they might try to go deep here, huh?
Well, they did last time they got behind. As soon as they got behind, boom, they take a shot long, and they don't mind throwing it up. They got big receivers, but we have big people in the secondary, too.
First and 10 Giants at their own 44-yard line. Manning has them in the line. A lot of noise. Hard for him to hear. Hard for their line to hear. Arrington's playing in the middle right now. Manning back to pass, looking deep left side. Oh, it's caught by Burris over the top of Walt Harris, and he's driven out of bounds to the 30-yard line.
I've gone long already.
That was a short little pass, and he just plucked it out of the air.
They just throw a little fade pass down the sidelines and rely on their big receivers to go up and get it.
That's why they got him. That's why they got Plaxico Burress from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had Amani Toomer to go with him.
Is he 6'10"?
Big kid.
He looks it, doesn't
When he jumps, he is.
First and 10 at the Redskins 29 again for the Giants. One play and they're already close. Barber the lone setback behind Manning. LeVar faking a rush, now backing off. Manning back to pass. Heat from the outside, dumps it over the middle. Barber's got it, and Arrington wraps him up. Gain of a couple on that play. Quick look at the Purple Heart scoreboard. The Atlanta-Tampa Bay game now tied at 17. It's Dallas 17, Carolina 13. Pittsburgh 41-0 over Cleveland. That's a look at the military order of the Purple Heart scoreboard.
Well, LeVar got beat by the little guy before, but he took the inside this time and wrapped him up.
I think they're spying him.
Yeah, they are.
2nd and 7. At the 26, the fullback Finn is in motion. It's a pitch right side, Tiki Barber. Arrington can't get him. Salavea giving chase. He can't get him, but Griffin does. At the 26-yard line.
Big Joe was crawling out of there, wasn't he?
Is that what he was doing?
Did something come out?
Big Joe raised a leg.
Did I see something come out?
That was a great imitation of a dog by Joe Salavea.
I don't think his wife would like that.
That was the funniest thing I've seen.
Oh, my goodness.
That might be a fine.
His shotgun.
That's a keeper.
3rd and 6 from the 25. Manning back to pass. He's got time. Floats it. Barber's not watching it. Hits him in the back of the head. Hit him in the back of the head. I don't know if the referee got in the way there or not.
No.
They got to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
It's a 4th and 6 coming up here for the Giants. The Redskins 25.
Boy, he just kind of quit on that play, didn't he?
Tiki Barber did.
Yeah.
He did not know he was going to get it. He would have picked up the first down if he'd have got it out in front of him.
Carolina has taken the lead over Dallas 20-17, but here the Giants face the 4th and 6 at the Redskins 25.
And it is loud.
Can't hear ourselves. I wonder if Manning can call signals. He's in the shotgun. Here comes a maximum blitz. Looking to the outside for Burris. It's incomplete.
That was 4th down, too.
Bad throw.
Boy, he was rushed, though. Sean Taylor was coming at him.
6 guys were coming after him.
Everybody was coming after him, I think.
And as a timeout on the field with 10:38 to play in the game, the Redskins lead. The post-game show for the America Online star of the game will tell you how you can win a Redskins Radio Fantasy Day and a trip for 2 to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii with the America Online star of the game. Well, the Redskins defense holds on a 4th down here, and This is where they'd love to occupy 10 minutes and 38 seconds of the clock, right, Mr. Jurgensen?
Oh, yes. What Randy was just referring to, the 4-minute offense, just pound the ball.
Portis, the lone setback behind Patrick Ramsey. In motion, Santana Moss to the right. Little movement up front there, and he gives it to Portis. A big hole across the 30. Still on his feet. He's got the first down across the 35.
Right up the middle he came that time.
Right, there's a lot of movement up front. The Giants were looking for a call against the Skins. Didn't get it.
The 21, what Lombardi used to call that 21 blast, that 21 drive right up the middle. And if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere.
Quick trap.
Yep, 21 quick trap. We remember that, don't we, Jerky? That was a great time.
Ball at the Redskins 36-yard line. Liddell Betts in.
Here he comes again.
10 minutes to go and counting in this game. Portis 96 yards on 24 carries. Betts up the middle across the 40. Still pounding ahead of the 43.
Oh,
You like that, don't you?
I miss it. I miss that part of the game right there.
Randy, what are the offensive linemen saying in that huddle right now?
Put it on our backs, you know. Let's carry the team to victory.
Well, truthfully, the Giants have lost 2 middle linebackers, so
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
Well, you lose 2 middle linebackers, that's the place to run.
I love it.
Even when you were the Jets, you knew that.
There you go.
Ball at the Redskins 43. 2nd and 3 for the Skins. Again, Liddell Betts remains in. Pulling the backfield with him. Now Santana Moss in motion to the left. Patrick Ramsey turns around, gives it to Betts. He hits his own man, Cooley, and he's knocked down.
He was lucky he didn't fumble there.
You got that right. I thought he did.
Lucky he didn't fumble.
Just got that handoff off, and now it's a 3rd and 4.
Clock is running.
8:55 and counting.
Like Cooley should have blocked that in on that play.
He didn't get out there in time. The score, Redskins 35, Giants 20.
Something safe.
Are you saying a run?
Yes.
Oh, no. You can throw something safe.
7 of 10 on 3rd down conversions for the Skins. They face a 3rd and 4 at their own 42. Ramsey sends Cooley in motion to the left. And it's a handoff to Betts. Cuts it up. Hit at the 45. He needed to get across the 45. He didn't get it.
The guy marked it on the other side. He gave it to him.
I don't think he
That's
did.
a bad spot.
He needed
I
to
think he got a bad spot.
He went right down on the chalk.
His shoulders went over the line.
Now, would the Redskins go for it here at their own 45-yard line? Not with this defense.
Well, you gotta
Punt it away. Punt it away.
8:05, 8:04. Giants will get it back with less than 8 minutes to go in the game, down by 15.
Well, kick it down there long.
Well, Randy said it was a 4-minute offense, and that's how long they stayed out there.
Hey, can I get something for that?
Kick it out of bounds.
Do I get a hot?
Kick it out of bounds.
Here's the punt by Derek Frost. Chad Morton waits for it. That is a beauty. And Morton's going to let it hit at the 5. Again, it dies, and it's saved by Adi Jamo at the 1-yard line.
Amazing.
Great play, special teams play. Adi Jamo learning from the master, James Thrash, on how to get down there quick.
Boy, that was perfect for Adi.
Perfect. Well, actually, going to say someone touched it at the...
Broadcasting live from the Don and Mike Building, 3FM, 106.7 WJFK, Manassas, Washington, D.C. 3FM.
7:38 to play in quarter number 4. Time for key stats from Canosa, brought to you by Granger for the ones who get it done.
Well, John's key stat of the game is Patrick Ramsey entered at 7:57 of the 3rd quarter. His first 2 drives, 5 plays, 83 yards, 10 plays, 79 yards, and touchdown.
From the end zone, Manning in the shotgun, looking over the middle. It is picked up. Oh, 2 Redskins collide. Sean Springs and Sean Taylor collide. The 2 Seans. One of them could have had it.
Well, you don't have a chance to say I got it. That was a line drive, shot.
Oh, man, that would have been a nail right there with 7:31 to go in the game.
Oh, you don't think the nail's in already?
Yeah, they're all put in there right now. We need to drive them home.
The nail has been in.
Is this a rusty nail or a clean nail?
The nail has been there.
Let me tell you, this would be a great win for these Redskins. The way they got beat up at Giant Stadium, this is a great win for them. They need it.
Nobody's left the stadium. Still full.
These are
2nd and 10.
These are all Redskin fans on the left.
Manning in his own end zone. Gets the snap from the shotgun. Looking over the middle. Has the man, the tight end, Shianko. And they've got the first down up to the 13-yard line.
Are they ever using Shockey today or what?
He's been in for a few plays, but he went off limping.
He's banged up a little bit.
Standing on the sideline right now.
And they've got Marcus Washington covering the tight end man for man.
Manning back to pass on first down. Pumps over the middle. That's caught again. Across the 32, Amani Toomer covered by Sean Taylor.
Amani Toomer's a good receiver.
Phillip Daniels coming out holding his left arm. Demetric Evans in for him. Phillip's been nursing an injured wrist most of the year. He's in a lot of pain down there. 1st and 10. Giants at their own 33. Manning from the shotgun. Oh, Marcus Washington gets him cold, untouched, and levels Manning. Wow.
That's taking a hit. Boy, that's the kind of hit you love to put on the quarterback.
Boy, they didn't get a chip on him, nothing.
You bad guys.
I love that one.
He came totally clean, Sam.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do. That's what you love to do.
And that's not a fun.
That's a lot of fun right there. Wow.
He loves that, doesn't he?
He does.
It gets rabid up. It starts foaming at the mouth.
Sit down, Sam.
Whoa. That's a good one.
6:41 to play in the game. 2nd and 10 for the Giants. This place is going crazy. Manning hands it off to Barber. Looking around the right side, has room, and he's off to the races. Sean Taylor's got the angle, and he's going to bring him down at the 35 of the Redskins.
Got outside the corner.
6:33 to go. Big run by Tiki Barber. Plenty of time left. 6:33.
Everybody was playing pass, but Tiki.
Sean Taylor picked up extra speed on that play.
He did, didn't he?
Man.
Boy, he's a player. Sean Taylor.
Ball is marked at the Redskins' 36-yard line.
I've seen a lot of people catch Tiki lately on those plays like that.
He doesn't have that breakaway speed, but
he can run.
Gets that hole awful quick.
He's got a lot of good, quick moves.
You ever seen that?
Nah, but I think it should be a fine.
Wait a minute, your teammate.
That's right, no.
Hey, back in West Virginia, they call it the crawl. He was crawling.
But what about the extra lift at the end?
He was looking for a fire hydrant.
Oh, okay.
I think that was Steve Zimmer that got hurt, the official who got taped up.
Here we go.
I don't think I've seen that before. We get one get taped.
He's taped and going. 1st and 10 Giants, clock running, 6.5 and counting. 1st and 10 at the Redskins 36. Here comes the blitz up the middle. Manning gets rid of it. Over the middle has Toomer. It's a touchdown.
Jesus.
And there's a flag on the play at the line of scrimmage. Could be a holding call.
Yes. That's big.
Tell me that ain't big.
Boy, that's big. You're right.
Holding, 76. Offense. 10-yard penalty.
That isn't big.
Still first down.
And
Chris Snee, the left guard, right guard, I should say. Wow. I mean, that was a beautiful pass by Manning, but you know what? They brought the blitz and they helped.
9 penalties, 64 yards against the Giants.
Well, a lot of them at tough times, too.
That's a John Canosa stat.
Chris Snee got a hold of Ronaldo Wynn and tackled him, and that's the call.
Hey, that's 2 touchdowns. Remember early that they dropped one, and now they got one called back. Whoa.
6:19 to go in the game. Redskins up 35-20.
Tell me how that guy got so wide open.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
1st and 20 for the Giants at the Redskins 46. Manning from the shotgun. Has time this time, all kinds of time. Floats it out to his tight end, and it is incomplete on the left side.
Hits ground.
Shianko out there, and it hits the ground. And now Ronaldo Wynn hobbling off. And Nick Clemens checks in.
All right, this is 3rd down coming up here. This is a 3rd down and 2nd down. 2nd down. No pressure.
I can't get over Joe Sullivan's move. I'm sorry. I can't.
If you don't blitz, you don't get any pressure at all on the quarterback.
2nd and 20 at the 46 for the Giants. 6:11 to play.
Got to go get him again.
And not going to, Sam.
I know it. They're dropping off.
Back to pass in the shotgun. Over the middle has Tiki Barber. Gang tackled at the 39. Way short of the first down. Way short.
I like that play.
Gain of maybe 6 on that play. It'll be a 3rd and 13. 3rd and 13, and they're hurrying to the line right now.
Boy, this is, you got to,
Boy, yeah.
said one send one linebacker and pick up everybody coming out.
5:50 to go on the game. Manning over the middle has a man, and he's short of the first down. Yard short of the first down.
But they're going for it on 4th down again.
Clock continues to run. The catch made by Shianko.
Well, that tight end is open all the time.
Well, they're just running a stop pattern. He just goes and finds the open area and then stops.
4th and 2. Redskins lead at 35-20. 5:23 to go on the game. Manning in a shotgun on 4th down. Gets the snap. A lot of heat. Throws over the middle. It's incomplete. Incomplete. Sean Springs got there when the ball got there, and Burris couldn't catch it.
Two times on 4th down they've stopped him.
Same spot.
5:16 to go in the game, and the Redskins will take over.
Boy, that holding penalty stopped him. Took away that touchdown.
Boy, great timing by Sean Springs, the veteran. Got there in perfect timing. McDonald's scoreboard. The two teams we need to lose are winning. Atlanta leading Tampa Bay 24-17, and the Cowboys lead Carolina 23-20. But the Redskins lead the Giants, more importantly, 35-20.
Everybody's starting to pour out of the stadium now.
Now need a couple first downs here. Clinton Portis a setback behind Patrick Ramsey. 1st and 10 at their own 28-yard line. Clinton gets the call. Dockery's there. Cuts in at the 30. Being held onto by the jersey and pushing ahead for a gain of 5.
Well, that's a big run right there. I mean, that's tough running.
Big Derek Dockery in there trying to push that pile. Getting up slow.
Tough yardage. Portis now he only has 15 carries. Seems like he has a lot more for 102 yards.
How many? Another 100-yard game.
No, he's got 20. John says 25.
Yeah, he's got 102 yards.
Yeah, 102
He
yards.
had 14 at halftime.
Well, John got 25 down there. Okay.
How many straights that, John? 4 straight? 4 straight 100-yard games for Clinton.
John was a little slow on the take there.
In motion, Santana Moss to the right on 2nd and 4. Clinton gets the call again. Cuts it up and in, trying to drive to the first down. He's going to be a couple yards short. And Tom Coughlin calls a timeout with 4:24 to go.
Why?
Guess he's thinking he's going to get it back with some time on the clock. I'm not sure.
He's
Great job by our crew today. Daryl Nichols, Jeff Lockridge, and Tony Diggs, our engineers, parabolic mic operators, Greg Edger and Jamie Street, Statman John Canosa, studio operations, Chris Owens, Travis Edelin, Lisa Herndon-Broyhill, and Gwendy Cheek. Studio staff, John Sollett and Eric Price. Stadium staff, Jack Singh and Megan McCluskey. Redskins radio sales, Jeff Hedges, Steve Johnson. General manager, Michael Hughes. Executive producer, Cameron Gray. And commentator, Randy Thomas.
Wow. We got a new title.
You don't get paid, though.
Oh. Is that what you told me earlier?
4:24 to go.
We saved your money, though, so you didn't swear.
I think Moss has only 2 catches the second half, doesn't he? 3 in the first half.
All right, here we go.
3rd and 2 for the Redskins, looking to keep the clock rolling. Ramsey gives it to Portis. He's got the first down up to the 39-yard line. That's a big play there to continue the clock to roll. 4:15, 14.
The fans are getting ready to head home, and the Washington Post sports writers have got plenty to report, and they're going to love doing it. See what they say about the Redskins in tomorrow's Post.
Boy, this team couldn't be playing with any more confidence than they are right now at the right time.
They scored it in the 30s last week. They're in the 30s again this week.
Atlanta and Tampa Bay are tied at 24 apiece. Keep you posted on the scores. Check the post-game show for all the scores after the locker room report. 3:40 to go in the game. It's going to be Portis again. Dockery with the block. The linebacker trying to plug the hole there, but the clock rolls on. 3:35 and counting.
The Giants have 1 timeout left, and so do the Redskins.
We're in the GMRI broadcast booth here at FedEx Field. Larry Michael with Sonny Jurgensen and Sam Huff. Joining us for part of the game today, Randy Thomas. We appreciate Randy's contributions. He's going to bail out to get down to the locker room.
Well, he's got to leave early.
Yeah, he's got a victory speech to make.
37 runs, 20 passes.
That's what they like.
Liddell bets in, 2nd and 9 situation for the Skins. 3 minutes even and counting. Betts gets the call. Ramsey gives it to him. Makes a nice cut at the 44 up to the 45-yard line.
Last week they were 40 runs, 20 passes. They are now 39 and 20.
That's a Joe Gibbs.
Same thing.
Joe Gibbs coached offense and defense. That's
He
what
loves
he
it.
likes. Yeah. And this guy, he is something. Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, you know, he's going pretty good right now.
Yeah, he's done a job with this team. It's taken him a couple years, but he's done a job. But the guy's also done a good job with the Giants on the other side of the field.
Redskins 8 of 12 on third down conversions. Here they face a 3rd and 5 with 2:15 to go. Betts gets the calls, got the first down across the 50, driving ahead of the Giants 45. And that's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. And it sure looks like a Redskins win. Alexander on the stop. We've reached a 2-minute warning, brought to you by BMW. Visit your Washington area BMW Center. Test drive a new BMW today. 35-20. The Skins lead it with 2 minutes to go on the Free FM WJFK Redskins Radio Network. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy New Year. We might just be getting the Christmas present that we have longed for, which the Redskins win over the Giants.
Exactly right.
Happy Hanukkah. Yes, thank you, Cameron.
And well-deserved, too.
Hey, and one good thing, you know, Patrick got back in there and has played pretty well for backup quarterback.
He's played extremely well.
Yes.
He's got to be happy about it. And they have to be pleased with the way he's played.
Yeah.
Redskins can run out the clock here. 2 minutes to go. 1st and 10. The Giants have just one timeout remaining. Hand off to Betts, hit in the backfield, and stop for no gain, maybe a loss of 1. And the Giants call their final timeout of the game. Final timeout called by the Giants with 1:53 to go.
Nick Greason, number 54.
One game to go in the regular season next Sunday. Redskins at Philadelphia, a 4 o'clock game up in Philly on New Year's Day.
John Jensen coming to the sideline, wanting to know what plays to call. Patrick Ramsey on the sideline also talking with the coaches.
You don't think they know what plays to call?
Well, I don't. What's he doing on the sideline?
They've done a pretty good job of it so far.
Yeah.
Brunell's over there giving Ramsey the business. He just pushed him away, and they had a good laugh. It's the time to laugh down there after one like this where the Redskins was so much pressure on them today, Sonny.
Well, it meant more to them than the Giants. The Giants can still go to Oakland next week and win the division.
And let me tell you, when you get your hind end whipped like they got whipped up in New York,
Exactly.
you don't forget that.
You got them at home.
Yeah. And we'll show them.
Makes a big difference.
We'll show them what we can do down here.
Giants have no timeouts remaining. It's a 2nd and 11 for the Skins. From the Giants 46, Liddell Betts gets the call again. Hit at the line of scrimmage, still driving ahead to the 45 of New York. And the clock runs, 1:45 and counting. Redskins will run their record to 9-6. 9-6 after a 6-10 year last year. They've done a great job in the second half of the season after losing 3 straight. Focusing in on trying to make the playoffs, and they're a game away.
Well, everybody's going to be thrilled again in Washington, and they need to be.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, Joe Gibbs, for having his team ready.
Ramsey just going to give this football to Liddell Betts again. Hits the left side of the line, drives ahead, 1:05 and counting. And the Redskins, I think, are going to have to punt it away here on a 4th down. Yes, they're going to punt it. 55 seconds and counting. Crowd on their feet. Standing ovation for the Redskins.
They have earned it.
We'll see Mr. Jurgensen in the locker room momentarily.
Yeah, he's on his way.
And we get the chance to satisfy and savor the win this way, Sam.
You got it. It's
been a great year at this. Great year at this stadium.
Yeah, and it's been a beautiful day. Well, they carried on some losses here too, so it could have been wins.
It's been a big year for the stadium, I think, breaking through in the noise column.
Yep, they made their contribution.
Redskins going to take the delay of game with 23 seconds to play. They'll take the 5-yard mark off and punt it away. (35-20) so far. 15 points. Hard to overcome in 23 seconds. Punt from Derek Frost with 23 seconds to play. Just gets it off. It's a low wobbler, and Chad Morton's going to let it bounce at the 10. James Thrash is there, bounces it back at the 3, and it's died there. Killed there by the Redskins at the 2-yard line.
Great special team play today.
13 seconds to play, and this one will be a victory for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, it is.
In a few moments, we're going to work our way down to the Redskins locker room and have a conversation with Joe Gibbs and the rest of the Redskins.
Well, they have time for 2 plays in 13 seconds.
13 seconds to play. What are you going to do when you're down by 15 points at your own 3-yard line with 13 seconds left?
Well, you should throw it long, because they've been actually hitting pretty well with those long passes. I think they controlled Tiki Barber today, which was a great deal.
Giants' 3-game winning streak will be history. Manning will take the snap. Hands it off to Jacobs in the backfield, and that's going to be it. Clock winding down. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. This game is over. The Redskins have won their 4th straight, defeating the Giants here at FedEx Field, 35-20. What a
Redskins Radio is brought to you by Smooth, Refreshing Bud Light. Great taste for your great times. Cox Communications.
Sports Reporters, weekdays 5 to 7 on Sports Talk 980. Sports Talk 980. With scores and breaking sports news. Sports Talk 980. Sports Talk 980.